I miss Reese. Reese was a fun card. Card was sweet. Just tap out on 2. Have this threat that comes in. God, Reese would be sweet with deny. Every good control deck runs 4 guides. You might be correct. It might be that we're supposed to just like jack up the resource base and play Trishard. Trishard or go home. Sounds probably fine on the play. I'm gonna go ahead and lead on Sapphire Shard, Thunderfield Seer, because I don't know exactly what I want to Fate Weave with this just yet. Paired into Puck and Balthazar first round here. It's playing Guidance. Maybe they're a good control deck. Ooh, that's pretty good. I think that means I want to find a resource. There's a deck list on the side of the screen there too, Eco. I think Deny is one of the better cards in this deck, so I don't think if you were going to cut something for something, you would cut the Denies. I think Deny is one of the big reasons to play this type of archetype. Put an attack here. Well, we didn't cut anything. We started from... Burgle started from a blank deck list and then filled in the pieces. Like, there isn't really a set Winter Moon list right now. Yeah, not really. So, when you're playing against a ramp deck, you don't want to be countering their actual pieces of ramp. You want to be countering their payoff cards. So, you just let cards like Runic Growth of them resolve. This is one of the ways where Bounty is great, because I got to hold up this Deny, and then I get to just go ahead and play this Bounty at the old end of turn here. Put a non-resource on top of my deck. I don't really care about that, right? Like, oh, it doesn't even have the Fate Weave gem in it? Weird. I wonder what they have the Fate Weave gem in if it's not in that. Focus. Could really use a threat. See, this is one of the This is one of the things that's always kind of got me about playing the Wintermoon deck. Like, we're on turn 5 right now, and I haven't even been able to activate my Wintermoon power. And, like, if I was playing Dreaming Fox, I'd be plus 4 points of health right now, and I'd be guaranteed drawing 2 extra cards on turn 7 if I wanted to. And, like, here, I just, like, don't have anything going on. So, like, this is going to draw 2, gain 6. I think that's fine. I think these decks have enough air that this isn't drawing, like, 4+. I don't really care about it. I care here. Health total is a resource. Opponent's deck likely doesn't have any. Opponent's deck likely doesn't have any traditional reach in it, so we could use this pretty liberally. These acolytes are like kind of non-traditional reach though, right? Man, when it rains, it pours, huh? Sure, but like this is far from so like it's pretty unlikely that I would put maybe honestly I was supposed to chump block this too because of my Wintermoon power. Yeah, maybe that's true. I was supposed to chump block aggressively. Yeah, I'm gonna ditch one of these this turn to gain 2, so that way I can have Thunderfield Seers to put back into my thing. If they attack with this, yeah, I'm just gonna double block the Balthazar, actually. Get him. Get him, Thunderfield Seers! Rawr, you wasquy little Thunderfield Seers, you. Yep, you have Runic Growth. Hey, Rune Mine's probably going to be reasonable in this game because they're likely the wildlife deck that Aliandrazi's been playing. But, like, probably going to use that to counter a, you know, infinite resource card. Opponent is playing this very well, sitting here and leveraging their Acolytes of Shoku, as opposed to playing more threats out of their hand into our interrupts, is a really good line. We're gonna be under the gun here pretty quickly. We really need to hit a Pipit Hustler or a Windsinger ASAP. Alright, I'm gonna do this now. See what we get. 9 cards. Tilt. I have to discard. Maybe I should have waited. Although I guess I didn't have... No, I had a resource to play, right? Oh, I don't have a Coyotel. Sure. Am I just discarding here? I think I'm just gonna discard. Yep. Which card? Discard right here. Gives us something to Witcherbrood back into our deck. So this Pipit's gonna let us take care of these Acolytes of Shoku, basically. We're gonna flash in the Pipit and bounce with the Deathless Infiltrator and turn this Acolyte of Shoku into a random 1-drop. We're taking 3, going down to 8 here. And then end step we can transmog this Acolyte of Shoku. Every day we hustling, hustling, hustling. Every day we hustling, hustling, hustling. Still have Deny up here, because Deny is great. No reason not to block here. These die at end of turn anyway, so might as well just take 3 from them and gain ourselves an extra point of health. End step, transmog this into a different 1-drop. You got, a few cards in our discard pile for this, this Winter Moon activation now, so that's not the worst. That's a tilt. Champ power, put these 2 back into my deck. Go ahead and play out this Thunderfield Seer. You want to champ power before you Prophecy in case you put the card right on top of your deck. That way it's going to get the extra draw right away. Otherwise you could be potentially delaying yourself the Prophecy draw, basically. If they continue on this Acolyte of Shoku beatdown plan, I think I'm going to Runebind my Pipit Hustler. Probably Runebinding my Pipit Hustler now when they target it with this. Yep. So it will no longer be a troop. No longer a legal target for that. We use the one without the draw because the way this works is it would turn it into a mysterious rune, and then if no, Hex is not a game where resource variance doesn't exist. Hex has a number of mechanics that reduce the resource variance, though. So, I like games that have resources in the deck because putting resources in your deck gives you some interesting deck building constraints is essentially what it comes down to that I enjoy. Alright, I think I want to Runebind this. If they have another Gargolith, I'm going to be a little bit sad. Oh, sorry. So the reason why we didn't use this one first is actually exactly because of this. If we would have used this one previously, this would have turned into a rune and then turned immediately back into a rune. And because transformations, Hex tracks cards through transformations, it still would have been voided by the Decree of Banishing. It's harder, not only is it harder to get color screwed or threshold screwed in Hex, but it's also more difficult to, what's the word I'm searching for? It is more difficult to not have resources in your opening hand or to have too many, because Hex uses a modified opening hand algorithm to discard basically the extreme variance on some of those. So basically the bottom 10% resource light hands and 5% most resource dense hands just don't get generated in Hex for either player, so everyone mulligans less when they're playing Hex compared to Magic. So we got 2 interrupts here, and we've got the Psychic Ascension about ready to go off, so I'm probably like snap weaving whatever they do this turn, and then I'm gonna go ahead and, yep, that's worth weaving. So weave that into nothing. We get to Fate Weave a non-resource. So the Fate Weave mechanic reduces a lot of that variance too. So the Fate Weave mechanic lets me stack the top of my deck here. I could choose if I want to draw a resource or a non-resource. I'm definitely in the market for some more non-resources here. I did. It seems sweet, Squishy. Yeah, like I said, I think it seems like there's a lot of potential in those shards. So I'm excited to see what could potentially happen. The list we played wasn't particularly good, but I also think that like that shard combination has some pretty good potential in it. Blue-red probably for Painter. Guppy gloves, sweet. So now, every time we play an action, we're going to generate a random troop, so we should have some good inevitability here now. So opponent played this game kind of slow, and got us to let us get to a point where, like, we're going to be able to bury them now, I think. If we hit a bounty of the maggots, we're going to put them firmly in the ground. If they have 2 good threats here, we could be in trouble, because I can't dingle and deny this turn. But I do have Guppy Gloves to clean up a threat, so I think it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, X-Cross with Paragon is pretty good. So Paragon creates troops based on the cost of the card you play. So having an X-Cross card like this means I can kind of control what kind of troop I'm going to generate from the Paragon. Yeah, I don't really care about Old Earthen's Glory here. That's fine. That one I can clean up with Guppy Gloves. Oh, Dingle would make Deny cheaper. That's true. Alright, sweet. Let's go ahead and ring-a-ding-dingle this one. I wasn't thinking about that, but good for pointing it out. Morning, Jet. Let's generate a random action here. Playtime, huh? Put a non-resource on top of my deck. I'll playtime the glory. Why not? I mean, this is like a medium action generation, because, like, they're just gonna bury the top half of their deck, right? Which I guess is kind of a clock. They're gonna lose half their deck. Yep, you have some guidance. I have an infiltrator. Stomp, stomp, roar. Alright, I'm gonna let this one resolve, and then in response, I'm going to Guppy Gloves. This thing fights 2 things when it comes into play, so how much do I want a Guppy Gloves for? It's probably just the max, right? Just grab a 7-drop here. Generated a Harbinger of Hustur. When this attacks, it exhausts 5 target troops. It's pretty decent. Now that I have a 5-8, I actually just don't care about this, right? I think that's the case. I think that one's fine. I think I want to just save this in case they hit something actually scary. Sure, you get to eat those Dorkos. They're gone. Like, they can't attack here. We're drawing a non-resource because we Fate Wove Bounty of the Magus. Alright, that could be anything, even a Bounty of the Magus. Target troop gets, when you gain a wild threshold, transform this troop into a cost +1. It's cute. Alright, well, I guess we're gaining a wild threshold. Put a non-resource on top of my deck here. Yep, got a random 3-drop. Actually, could be in a little bit of trouble. I don't know if we hit another series of bricks. Remember when we talked about Arcane Focus being worse than Guidance? Always, never not the first match worse than Guidance. Jeez, we're just gonna die to this thing twice, aren't we? Aegilis. Let's deny that one. That's a good hit. It gets to exhaust another target troop. I do, and I'm chumping with this right away. You always want to chump with things before you're obligated to. Splash diamond for a 1-cost card to add consistency. Oh, I need diamond to exhaust. Oh, that's sad. Alright, well, let's block this guy. Bounty of the Magus, please. Alright, that could be anything. Even a Bounty of the Magus. It draws a card when we play it. Astral Sight! Sign me up. Well, that's a tilt. That's fine. This gives me 3 charges. It draws me 3 cards. It generates me a random Dorko. Sweet. Alright. Every day is like Christmas morning when you hustlin'. Every day we hustlin', hustlin', hustlin'. Oh, we drew an extra card for the Sylvan Performer too. God, that's great. We are doing it. I can't believe that people play this Winter Moon deck without Psychic Ascension in it. Like, it's so, like, I don't understand why you wouldn't put, I don't get it. Why wouldn't you put, this card draws 5 cards. Why wouldn't you put Paragon of Thought in your thing? I don't understand. Yeah, that's fine. You have a Decree of Banishing. I guess they don't like winning something. Something, shoot. Am I gonna hustle? Am I gonna hustle and then deny that? I think so. Have a random 2. Have a deny. Nope, Fridays is just Hex. We'll probably do extra magic next week after we have some results from the format. But brewing before we have results for the first tournament is usually like a medium Midas plan. I have to go ahead and attack with this Chilltail Guide here. Go ahead and play this Windsinger out. Oh, this Windsinger draws a card. No, this one draws a card. God bless. Oh, my opponent doesn't want to play Hex anymore. Weird. Yeah, the Sultai deck feels... It really feels like there's something there. I don't know what, but there's something. Feels like an okay Into the Unknown matchup. It's definitely a matchup where I want this extra dingle. Runebind seems kind of medium minus. Come back, opponent. I wasn't done drawing cards. I wasn't done drawing cards, opponent. Opponent. Like Into the Unknowing, Croc in response to a trigger, or Into the Unknowing any of their troops after they Balthazar and only have 1 large troop, or Into the Unknowing the Aegilis. Those all seem like meaningful things. They probably have Eternal Seeker hiding in their deck somewhere too. Yeah, it's a Python tool called Stack It. And then I have some additional Python scripts that tie Stack It into the Hex API, so it updates automatically. Thoughts on Cosine / Oblivion? I don't know what that card does offhand. Is Cosine the one return? Nope, that's the wrong one. It returns a spell. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Target opponent discard 2 cards. Maybe? Non-land is kind of nice. Hello all, just got here. What is Runear in the reserves for, out of curiosity? The idea behind the Runear in the reserves is to, what's the word I'm searching for? It's to allow you... I don't think I need to hold up Dingle this turn. Yeah, I'm just going to Fate Weave a non-resource to the top of my deck here, and then go ahead and play this Thunderfield Seer out. Maybe I'm supposed to put a resource on top there, but I've got this Weave into nothing to Fate Weave again later, so I kind of want to get this Prophecy sooner rather than later. The Runeers are in the board for the Mono Ruby aggressive decks. You get to put the -1 cost gem in them, as well as the make a Blight Blossom when they die, so that way they get to be just like super defensive. Another Prophecy. So these Arcane Focuses are prophesized, which means they were modified by my Thunderfield Seers. As to the question about what is Hex, Hex is a fully digital TCG that's very similar to Magic, but it's able to use the digital design space to smooth out some of the more frustrating aspects of Magic. Like, we get the elegance of having a resource system with colors in it, but we get to mitigate some of the frustration. Like, Hex doesn't generate hands for players that involve basically everyone mulligans less than Hex because the opening hands aren't purely random like they are in Magic. So in Hex, the hands get modified using a hypermetric modified hyper-geometric distribution, so that way they don't generate the 10% most resource light hands or the 5% most resource dense hands, so everyone mulligans less to get to play more actual games. They're basically blight bushes that grow. Yep. One of the other things that's kind of sweet about it, Nuthead Jack, is that unlike a lot of the digital card games that exist, it does have a full buy, sell, trade secondary market. So if you're not into the whole CCG grind, you can just buy a deck outright card for card and not have to worry about grinding and putting money in. Also, if you like buy in and you decide you don't enjoy the deck or you don't enjoy Hex, you can sell back out, which is convenient. They also have a lot of good competitive tournaments. Like they have a constructed 1K tomorrow that I'm still trying to find a deck that I want to play. I think the Runeer Grow is more important than the extra 1/1 in the aggressive matchup, because otherwise Blight Bush would be better than the Runeer in that spot. That is true. I think the growing is more important. It lets you trade things out later. It also lets them like trade up eventually too, which I think is not completely unreasonable. This opponent's just gonna get beat down by our Thunderfield Dorkos here, it looks like. Should record the sales pitch and upload it to YouTube. That's actually not a bad idea. I'll just play the audio in the background when we start hexing on a given day. These are the things Hex does better than Magic. Please enjoy. So I could have interrupted this Deathless Infiltrator, but I'm just gonna go ahead and Pippin Hustler at the end of their turn. Like, let's just downgrade it and get more power on the table here. And again, like, you know, handful of cards, don't have a Winter Moon ability to activate. I guess I already activated it once. Jack you for 5, down to 9. We're just gonna, like, interrupt their next 3 things and just, like, beat them into the ground with these. They stumbled for definitely a turn or two too long to be in this game. Hey, Scottish, with the brand new $4.99 a month subscription. Speaking of plugs and recordings, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Subscriptions are the absolute best way you could support my content here. They help enable me to do this more often and do honest work less often, so I can spend more time producing gaming content and still, you know, buy toys and stuff for the kiddos. Yeah, if you are enjoying the content, you're new here, make sure you hit that follow button at the very least. It doesn't cost you anything. You could also be sure to consider subscribing. It is currently September, so all new subscribers like Scottish there are half off this month on this channel and all other channels. You can also support my content by supporting my sponsors. Inked Gaming can help you customize your gaming experience. Using code Jeff12, you can save 12% on all of your purchases at Inked Gaming. They do custom playmats and mouse pads. And then hexprimal.com. I mentioned earlier, Hex is a full buy, sell, trade secondary market. Hexprimal.com can be your source for all of your Hex TCG singles needs. If you buy cards on there using code Jeff5, not only will you save 5% on your order, but you'll also be supporting my stuff here. Gotta pay for that Netflix somehow. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. This hand's a little close, but like I'm on the draw and I've got this Wild Ice. So Wild Ice There's only one resource in this hand. And again, this is like one of the nice things Hex does to mitigate variance that games like this tend to have, is like, this hand is keepable because I know this Fate Weave resource is going to guarantee me a second resource in this hand. An important thing to note about the resource base in this deck, we need Sapphire to function for this hand, but I don't have wild shards in my deck, which means the resource I'm Fate Weaving to the top here is guaranteed to either 1, be a Sapphire, or 2, be another wild ice to get me another resource that will potentially be a Sapphire. I'm gonna go ahead and play this, so I could... Am I supposed to Seer plus Focus here, is the question. I think I'd rather just hold up the Dingle for a turn, and if they don't play into the Dingle, I can play the Brown Fox Scout out. So Brown Fox Scout's a 3-2 that's quick, so if they don't give me something I want to turn into a ugly pox-ridden Dingler, I can play the Brown Fox Scout and start pressuring. So Dingle doesn't fully interrupt the troop, but it turns it into this ugly 0-1 on the chain, which is actually better than interrupting it in some ways, because by turning it into this ugly Dingler, we're able to make it so if this card dies later, my opponent is going to be unable to flip it back to their hand with their champion power. So this puts a random card from their discard pile back into their hand. Are 3-color decks a thing in Hex? 3 shard decks are less common in Hex than in Magic because the fixing is worse in Hex chat, but I actually top-8'd the Hex Bash last weekend with a 3-shard aggressive deck. So there's currently a competitive 3-shard deck. There's been probably... I've been playing Hex for like a year and a half, and like as far as like tier 1.5, tier 2 decks goes, there's probably been 3, maybe 4 3-shard decks that were really competitive. There's a 3-shard control. There's been a couple of 3-shard control decks. Usually they're more controlling decks because those are decks that could like afford to stumble on their resources for a little bit. So I think I'm just gonna play this Thunderfield Seer out here. So Deny's got a really sweet mechanic. So this is normally a 3-cost interrupt target card, but when a troop enters play under your control, this gets -2 cost until end of turn. So basically, if I play Brown Fox Scout plus Deny only costs 3, so it's a good way to like generate tempo and get ahead. Bride of the Damned, that's annoying. So Bride of the Damned here is a 3/3 for 3 with lethal, that whenever they gain a blood threshold, so play a blood resource, they get to give a troop -1/-1 permanently. And when they have 5 blood thresholds, whenever one of our troops dies, they take it into play under their control. Sapphire is losing Transmog and Dreaming Fox. Well, hopefully we'll get some new tools. So I'm going to go ahead and Transmog this Bride at end of turn. Dinglard, ring-a-ding, Dinglard. Opponent sending the message with the attack. Maybe they've got a taste for blood they're triggering Assault on. That's perfect. Let's go ahead and play this out. Grab our second wild threshold, so we have all of our thresholds now. Let's go ahead and put these back into my deck. Worth noting, this Thunderfield Seer is permanently 0/0. So that modifier from the Bride is a permanent modifier. He is permanently worse. But that being said, if we like draw a 1-cost, draw a card, draw another card later, I'm like pretty happy with that. Culmination in Blood, that's gross. So we're gonna need to hold an interrupt for this. So this card gets -1 cost for each troop in all crypts, which is another reason to put the Seer back into my deck. And this makes your opponent discard their entire hand. I hope we don't get more cost reduction cards. Cost reduction cards are the things that are most likely to make games awful. They're the hardest thing to balance, which makes them very dangerous to print. Huh. think I'm just gonna pass here. Yeah, I'm just gonna pass. They could play something we need to deny this turn. Although I guess I'm probably holding this deny. Yeah, that's fine. So, important to note what the cost of their culmination is at right now. So, my opponent has 2 troops in their crypt, and there's 1 in mine, so their culmination currently costs 7. We will definitely want to keep track of where their culmination's at. It's possible I should have just played this on my turn, so that way I could hit a resource and then play it. And we wouldn't have hit a resource anyway, so not punished, I suppose. Wow, that's rough. Alright, well. Alright, culmination cost 7. What are your odds? Do you think it's going to resolve, opponent? I'm going to play this Brown Fox Scout and eat this Cottontail Explorer. I gotta make sure I don't die to just, like, this janky troop beatdown plan. We're hero falling after I got to blocks. Alright, am I just rune binding this? Rune bind's not stellar in this matchup anyway, so yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and rune bind my Brown Fox Scout here. I'd like to keep my other Brown Fox Scouts in my deck. I'd like to get this back into play, so that way I can block some more. My opponent plays another piece of removal on here. Yeah, am I okay with that one? It's leaving the Brown Foxes in my deck. I think I'm okay with that one. I'm going to take 3 here, down to 14. Hopefully I hit a non-slow shard next turn, so that way I can play this Pippin Hustler and still have Deny up. I need to hit a resource for the next couple of turns here. That's really unfortunate. So, if my opponent doesn't give me anything to interrupt this turn, I also have to be careful because... There's the culmination. Alright, so, well, let's weave this into nothing. Which weave into nothing Fate weaves, so I get to go ahead and stack a resource on top of my deck here, which is convenient. Hopefully this is a non-slow shard, so that way I can get this Pippin Hustler into play. It's a slow shard. I'm gonna put another resource on top of my deck here. I am for now, I think. I think if they don't give me something to dingle or deny here, I'm gonna end step Pippin Hustler. And take their flying dork down. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. The problem is, if I deny this, they're going to be able to culmination me. I really needed that resource to be a non-slow shard. Oh, if I dingle it, then they can't culmination me, because there's only 1, 2. That's a Bride of the Damned. Alright. Non-slow shard, please. Ding. Friends are done. Put these troops back in my deck. I'm a real professional. I'll put the Brown Fox Scout on top. Not real professional confirmed. So this is the problem with these Winter Moon decks, is like, I don't have a good way to gain life. So like, I haven't gotten anything, I haven't generated any card advantage from my champion power yet. Now they have that. So my champion power hasn't actually generated any card advantage, and I don't have the extra life that you get from what's it called? And now I'm just dead. They can activate this twice, so I'm not technically not just dead. Yeah, the evolution game is a lot of fun. And like, as far as like compared to coming from TCGs, it's like super cheap, right? Did do a shard. Non-slow shard. Yeah, I guess that's fine. Maybe Burgle? Yeah, Burgle, if you put a draft of Diamond Sapphire Control in Discord, I'll put it together. Alright, we could Fate Weave a Brown Fox out to the top of our deck. Nope, no dice. Alright, Dingle is fine, Runebind is medium. I don't even have that many cards on my board for this matchup. I mean, like, so that game, it looks like we just flooded out and died, right? But like, what you have to think about too is like, my opponent played 8 resources that game. We finished the game with only 9 resources. So, like, it was just a long game is part of the problem. And like, when these games go long, even though our deck only has 21 resources in it, you're going to draw a lot of them because you're seeing a lot of cards. So, Sand technically doesn't have double Sapphire, but it's got these wild ices. I'm gonna go ahead and Fate Weave a resource to the top with this first one, so that way we can hopefully hit double Sapphire, and then we'll put a non-resource on with this one. Alright, I'll start Fate Weaving non-resources now. Look, Larynx, at the start of every good control deck is a bad control deck. So we're just like we're taking baby steps here, taking the babiest of steps. Does that mean you are filthy net decking scum? Hashtag no skill, no skill. Just gonna let that happen. I'm just gonna go ahead and bounty here. Escalade is not a combo with Winter Moon. Yeah, you're not wrong. And honestly, I think the answer is don't play Winter Moon rather than don't play the Escalade cards. Bounty is sweet. I'm gonna stack a non-resource on top for now. I don't think owls scream, dude. But you scream because you're loud, right? Let's do the loud decking again. This shard type does not have any sweepers in it currently. Let's sweep this into nothing. So, like, the problem with... I think Dreadend's fine against Kaigalichu, but the problem with Dreadend is I think the best aggressive deck in Hex's current constructed format is the Haraza Sockets deck. And the Haraza Sockets deck has a banner, which makes the Dreadling still kill you very dead. Hey, Jeff, I just stopped by to say I really like the Evolution game you stream. If you want, can you play 1 or 2 more hours of it? Yeah, I think I'm gonna be doing a little bit more of it for sure. At some point. I'm just gonna dingle this. Feel like I'm dingling this. Yeah, you like, and it's just like, the problem is like when you add this extra constraint of like, you have to hustle the banner first, it just like, it puts too many like moving pieces into the mix basically, and it's like, well, this is awkward. This kinda sucks. I need to find another Transbog pretty quickly here. Morning Tribunal. What am I doing here? So, I'm gonna go ahead and Xmog the Fentio, because it's gonna load my deck full of Tarantula eggs that are terrifying. That is a scary 2-drop. I'm gonna put Transmog and Dingle back in my deck here. I'm gonna go ahead and play this Thunderfield Seer, and I'm gonna continue getting beaten down by the Winter Moon opponent here. I can jump with the Seer for a turn, you're not wrong. That being said, we're just in like a miserable spot here. This is good. This is therapeutic. I was considering just saying playing this deck tomorrow, but this has been a good lesson in why I shouldn't do that. Oh, good. They got Culmination and Blood back. Perfect. Oh god, it's a sack outlet for Culmination too. Man, can nothing go our way today? Can not... Why? Oh, Jesus, why? Why? Man, the title promised bad control decks, and boy did it deliver. Boy, did it deliver. Oh, lordy.